I hit the button.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no, when it comes to like FF14 job balancing stuff, like for a while, as an example, right? Machinist was super bad, the gun class, because as opposed to all the other ranged physical DPS, it had like zero support.
Mm.
Um,
Yep, I remember the Joe Cat video where it's just big fat deeps was the thing.
but they added they gave it back a skill in one of the balance recent patches that is actually a very good support skill that I believe it's like a debuff to enemy damage. Very good for boss fights and stuff.
Mm.
And they really needed something like that because typically the ranged physical classes are more supporty, and the melees are the big deeps.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay to have a selfish ranged DPS, but
The issue was itself. It was not doing one. It was not doing enough damage, which they had to fix.
yeah, that's kind of the problem with. That's why it's kind of incongruous because like range damage does less damage. That's the
Yes.
range tax again, as Joe Cat calls it.
Mm.
So it does less damage, but it also doesn't do anything but do damage, which means it's just kind of shit at everything. It's shit at the only thing it can do.
People
So,
weren't using it, and it couldn't clear raids. And that was the problem. It couldn't clear some of the on content raids. They had to fix that. Um, they've got a pretty nice balance too. The main thing that they tend to rebalance in terms of class stuff is the PvP stuff, because PvP jobs work differently than like PvE jobs.
yeah, it's a whole different kind of game, I would imagine. Just
Yeah. Hmm.
having a certain character class fight enemies is like, oh, you need to have like an AoE so you can just splash an entire crowd of enemies at once, and that's not something you're gonna need as much in PvP ever.
The thing that's really frustrating in PvP in 14 right now, Dark Knights are the worst because they have a limit break that makes them invincible for a set period of time. B, they have a skill that's a draw that draws in all nearby players to their location. So they can yank you and you can't even punish them for it. And they can just laugh in your face and have their allies just take you out while you're discombobulated.
Hmm.
And they just refuse to die. They're way too tanky. So it's been incredibly frustrating because they've been dominating
Oh, it's too much. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not just okay.
to an unfair degree.
I see. That is a problem then.
Ninja
still,
used to be super broken, yeah.
yeah, I still haven't touched PvP, so and probably never will. Frankly, that's not my scene.
I find a lot of joy in it. It's a lot of fun for me. But like
PvP, like I think there's one-on-one PvP, if I remember right.
so there's you can duel people in the PvP area, but that's not a PvP mode on itself.
Okay, yeah. So it's just team-based stuff, which
You have
is that's more coordination with other people than I am want to do. Like,
the thing is, so the to kind of give the low, I play a lot of PvP. You have three PvP modes. The first is Frontline, in which you have three teams of 24 players, all trying to accomplish objectives and get points. Whoever gets the most points wins, basically. You have a set target that you have to hit. Oftentimes, you'll have nobody doing call outs in chat or anything, so people just kind of run and just do whatever. Because win or lose, you still get rewarded. You only get slightly more rewards for winning.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
But if you want achievements, which can lead to like special mounts and stuff, you want to have wins. Like there's special PvP locked mounts and stuff, and even a whole glamour set of like the commander's field coat and all that stuff is locked behind winning on a certain PvP map. Which one of my friends has because he went insane over it.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you'll have somebody who calls out, they'll place markers down on the map and say, everybody go here. And they'll basically be playing the RTS player, moving players around the map. So you just kind of follow their lead, and if they're a good shot caller, you'll win.
Okay. I remember back in the day when that was, and some games had a role where someone was basically just Overwatch, and then they could direct people.
And typically the first person to start doing it properly, takes the lead. But I sometimes do that where I just mark objectives on the map because it's pretty easy to do. And then you have the Crystalline Conflict, which is the newest PvP mode, in which it's 4v4, and you have to control a tower, and as you are on the tower, it starts moving towards the enemy base, and you have to move that tower into the enemy base to win. That one's pretty brutal because 4v4, a lot more personal responsibility. But it's fun. And then the last one is my favorite one, but it unfortunately it's not on duty roulette, so you have to be in a Discord and like organize events to get this PvP mode to actually pop up or work. That's how like nobody runs it. It's called Rival Wings, in which you get to pilot mechs.
Okay.
Essentially what you do is you kind of have like mobile like lanes, and you're trying to push towards the enemy base on those lanes. As you do so, you acquire points. You can use those points to summon a giant mech and control that giant mech, one of 3 different giant mechs, to start to lay waste to the enemy and their checkpoints and such. Super, super fun.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
But getting it to actually work, you need 48 players queuing for it at the same time at least.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, which is why like there's an organized event on the data center. There's like a whole Discord that I'm in.
Oh, nice.
So I think the next Rival Wings date is gonna be on like the 20th. In NA, they also do. There is also the Euro server. They also do events there as well to organize to get the mode to pop, because there's some rare mounts that you can only be gotten by 100 victories. And they are like mecha gorillas. It's super cool. But yeah, new patch drops, and they're gonna be probably rebalancing things. There's gonna be like one more patch after this, which is 6.58. But yeah, this is the last big content drop.
And then with 7, with the expansion, probably all kinds of shit is going to get reworked.
Yeah, notably, every time that an expansion drops, you'll have 1 or 2 jobs that undergo a drastic transformation. Like Summoner, for example, went from being one of the hardest and most difficult jobs to play, of like having to keep up multiple like dot effects and hitting all these different buttons in like specific sequences, to being the easiest magic caster to play.
That's a hell of a switch.
Yeah. Like Dark Knight underwent an entire full rework with Shadowbringers, for example.
I mean, that was kind of important to that one, just because,
And they reworked Paladin entirely in Endwalker, which they showed it in the trailer and everything. But there's also the side jobs of things that go like dramatic changes. Dramatic changes. So there's going to be more.
I mean,
big stuff.
And Monk gets reworked in everything ever, all the time.
Monk is constantly getting reworked. It. Oh my gosh.
They
Yeah.
just not found that secret formula to making it work properly.
Okay. Again, for the third time, I'm going to bring up Joe Cat's video. By the way, it sucks about Joe Cat. That is a really shitty situation. I'm going to say that now.
Yeah.
I watched his crap guide to Final Fantasy thing, obviously. And he goes into how all of the classes work. And it's pretty broad, but generally speaking, he actually does give the general details for how it plays and how you should play it. I do not get how Monk works, even from his very basic explanation of it.
Even that video is outdated for where Monk is currently.
Oh, Christ.
Been through so many different updates.
Yes, it's not applicable as much anymore. But the basics are still relatively there. You have multiple stances that you go through, and Monk is one of the hardest to find classes that people will play. A lot of people don't play Monk.
Fair, yeah.
They just don't, because number one, it's heavy on positionals, as in you have to be constantly moving around the boss to get into position for your one attack, like that you're doing in a sequence. Two, it doesn't have a ranged attack. Most melee have some way to deal damage at range when they're not engaged, or at least something, right? So, but Monk has just nothing. Like Ninja, for example, has throwing daggers that they can do at range, which if you are not
Jutsu, yeah, as well.
Yeah, and the Jutsu. Ninja's the most ranged of the melee. But typically even tanks will have like their little ranged attack that they do.
Paladins
when
throw
the
a shield, for example.
Yeah, when the boss decides to go far away because phase change or whatever, or certain like attack.
Yeah, big special move, orange juice on the floor, you need to move out of the way, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. One of my friends is a Monk main. He's a Monk main for life. He loves that class with all his life.
Oh, that's fun. He gets to play a new class every expansion.
Yeah. He's out of all the people I know, he's the one who like literally lives in that game with how much he spends, like time he spends in that, and legitimately, he plays that class expertly, like really like top tier, like extremely high parsing, Monk, in the top percentage, and that class has so many intricacies and so much technicality to try to actually master it and to work around its different things, and then they change it every time.
Is it at least similar? Like it's a growth of what it was, or is it just?
It's been on a similar trend, but it has undergone like I think 2 major reworks at the very least.
Okay.
So, yeah, and Ninja got a whole rework, for example, and I made Ninja in Endwalker.
Ninja
and
is so fucking complicated. Like, I am just barely away from 50, and I am dreading, like, the things that I'm seeing are, like, level 70 is like, fucking what?
Yeah, with Ninja, for example, they had Trick Attack, which would be a 10% damage down, or 10% damage, like it would add a weakness to the boss, so that it would take 10% more damage for a period of time. In the latest expansion, they split that. They made it so that Trick Attack deals 5%, and that's party wide, right? That's the 5% weakness. But then they also have Mug, which is now your personal 5%. And so Trick Attack, I think. Oh yeah, right. So you want to stack them both at the same time now, and then that's an entire other headache. of sorts. I remember when Ninja had a dot. They had a singular attack that did a damage over time effect. Most of those got removed. Like few classes have anything dot related.
This is just not a popular move set.
It never feels good.
It doesn't feel good, and it's really hard to maintain. There are some classes that still have that, but yeah. And with each expansion, obviously, you're setting the level cap higher and higher. You're adding more actions to every class, and so you have to condense things down.
Yeah, you have to have the new abilities start doing the earlier abilities automatically. Like, there's one on Ninja that is like, all of your actions are 15% faster, which really, really valuable. And it's like, okay, you have to basically open the fight with doing a special technique to put that on before you get into the fight, and then every now and again you have to re-up that. And then by level 70, they're just like, okay, you just get that automatically when you do this thing. That's fine. You don't have to worry about it so much.
Yeah, Horizon, which is the attack that just gives you a full stack. I'm trying to remember which level you get Armor Crush, because Armor Crush... Oh, yeah. Level 54, you get Armor Crush as Ninja, which gives you automatically 30 seconds to that timer once it's up.
Yeah.
So you just weave that in and do Armor Crush as your finisher to your melee combo instead to, whenever you're 30 seconds or below. And so, like, it starts to work. But they've done things like compress two attacks into one. Like, for example, Dream Within a Dream and Assassinate used to be two different things, and now Assassinate turns into Dream Within a Dream.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because I actually much prefer the Assassinate animation. Like, it has so much satisfying crunch to it.
I mean, does it still lock you in place?
We ain't here for efficiency. We're here for cool.
I don't think Dream Within a Dream locks you in place, no.
Okay, yeah. That I like that better then, personally. Having just come out of getting my shit stomped by what's-his-face, Ritalin von Karma, or whatever the fuck his name was. Yeah. Because I get myself locked into the Assassinate animation. And, that's a nice area of attack that he's doing there that I barely even have a chance to get away from when I'm not locked in place. Cool.
Yeah. Like, Ninja's really weird because they get Shikuchi, which is a teleport. Which lets you move to a specified location, but it's not actually a teleport. It counts as a really, really fast movement.
It does, which means if you're trying to go somewhere and there's a wall between you, then guess what? You're hitting that fucking wall.
Yeah, you can also still get tagged by AoEs if you're not fast enough.
That's rough.
And I constantly forget that I have that because I basically never need to use it. Until this fight, I guess.
It has... It's one of my favorite skills that Ninja has. Later on, you get two Shikuchis that you can use, and they refresh whenever you do jutsus.
Oh yeah, you can only use it like once a minute, so it's like fucking whatever. Like,
yeah.
Of course, I forget that I have it. I can only use it once a minute, and that's basically once per fight.
But it becomes something that you, as fights get more difficult, something that you can just constantly use to get yourself out of situations. But Ninja only recently, with this last expansion, got their gap closer. And what a gap closer is in an MMO, your melee classes have a special attack that zooms you straight to the boss automatically, right? It takes you to the shortest path to be within melee range of the boss. Other classes get that much, much earlier on. Ninja doesn't get theirs until level 90.
Yeah.
That's rough.
But they have Shikuchi, the free teleport in any direction. Just make sure you are aiming at the boss and don't miss.
Yeah.
But they've said that level 100 is where they want the cap to be. It just starts losing its
Yeah,
appeal of
it
getting more
starts getting
levels
a little
after that.
silly at that point, yeah.
Yeah. So they've been discussing other ways to provide, progress and power without just mindlessly raising the level cap forever.
That is a conundrum.
Yeah, because there's only so many actions you can have on your hotbars. Like, I use controller. I have 2 full hotbars that I go between, and then a third hotbar I can access by like tapping the right trigger or left trigger twice. So I'm working with essentially 3 hotbars. I can't fit anything else. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, controller players are just going to be kind of fucked. And even keyboard players, that's a lot. I mean...
Yeah, because each hotbar that I'm mentioning has 16 buttons. So I'm working with like 40 odd different possible actions.
Yeah, I mean, ninja specifically, it needs 4 specifically dedicated to jutsu. You've got to have your range, which is 2. You've got to have melee, which is 3 abilities that are one. You got like your survivability, that's 2 or 3, I think. Then you've got the fucking debuffs, which that's another 2 or 3. Then
you also...
on top of that, you've got your super special Ninky bullshit that you use sometimes, I guess, when you're high level. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, you have the Hellfrog Medium, Bavakakra, Tenchi Jin, Meisui, Bunshin, Phantom Kamatachi, like
Yeah.
Bunshin, like it is to the point where button bloat is a thing not just for ninja but for every class. And you have to also consider that people are putting on their hotbars things like damage potions so that they can do more damage during raids,
or health potions for obvious reasons.
Yeah, or health potions, and then like I have access to 8 hotbars total for my character.
Yep.
As a controller player, I can access like 3 of those through button presses. The other ones I have to manually like switch to, with no like easy or quick way to go to. And
yeah, I should probably set that up for my utility hotbar, which is all class switching and speed and such. Mounts and teleports. Because that kind of gets in the way, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
figure out how to hide that.
For keyboard players, they're at their limits. So
yeah, that makes sense.
It's not a great thing that it's starting to look like WoW.
Yeah, there's steps they can take to reduce button bloat, but only a few.
I mean,
things like having
you can do what I mentioned earlier, which is just compress things into each other so you don't have to deal with all the bullshit.
Yeah.
Make one thing unlock as an upgrade to another thing rather than,
Or have like your basic melee combo be, instead of 3 actions, 1 button that you just press repeatedly.
Yeah.
Like that's already saving you 2 slots.
It could be argued that, I mean, there are occasions where you can miss and that will fuck up the combo. So it could be argued that very, very slight and very occasional bit of, hey, pay attention, idiot, you didn't get the combo, quote unquote gameplay, would be cut out, and that's, I'm sure someone would say that's not good, but I'm probably not one of them.
It's trivial. Late game is trivial.
Yeah.
Like you're nobody's missing their combo at level 90. You've
Yeah.
played that for like the equivalent of 4 or 5 full JRPGs at this point. You're not dropping your combo.
Yeah. Like, there are certain classes where it's probably important to keep that sort of thing. Like, I think Dancer is one that has something like that where you really have to pay attention to what the situation is and what your outcomes of your attacks are, is my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah... A lot of classes you really don't need to... The most basic stuff really can just be compressed down at that point.
It would be a different case if we were back in Heavensward, because in Heavensward positionals were a huge thing. If you did not get your positional, you would lose you would lose your entire combo. And it would set you back. That got changed, so now if you miss your positional, you just lose out on some damage.
Yeah, that sounds like the most awful thing. Like, I literally did some dungeons earlier for the sake of becoming super chief sergeant or whatever the fuck I am right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, the amount of times that a boss would just 180 with no warning because someone's doing something and I wasn't aware of it. The idea of trying to be in the right place around the boss while that sort of shit is happening sounds like a nightmare.
Thankfully, at level 50, you get the class ability, which every melee DPS gets it, called True North.
Well, you don't have to worry about it, yeah.
Where it just nullifies it for a brief period of time. You don't have to worry about positionals at all.
Yeah.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah, and you later on, I think you get like 2 charges of it. Each charge lasts for 10 seconds and it's on a 45-second cooldown.
I would rather have the spare button than that, personally. But yeah, I can absolutely see why people would want that.
It's a godsend for monks. Monks are the most positional heavy class in the game.
Yep.
Interestingly, because they simplified samurai with recent reworks, most raiders that do melee pick samurai because it deals the most damage, and it's relatively simple to play now.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I was considering switching to samurai.
I really like ninja having the range flexibility.
It is very nice. Where you can just instantly call out, "Hey, you over there! I'm gonna strike you with lightning. Come fight me." It's pretty nice.
It comes in handy. I don't know if you know this, but another thing that ninja has that is really special is it has hide.
Yeah, I know.
Which resets your jutsus. So that makes it actually really good for stuff like Deep Dungeon, where you're climbing through 100 floors and you have to constantly have your stuff up to deal with some difficult enemies. But, I'm going to be switching to Viper when that comes out, so it doesn't matter.
What's that starting at? 80?
It should be 80, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, a lot of the later jobs tend to start at like 10 levels before the normal start level of the expansion they came out in.
Yeah.
Forever, or just for like a certain period?
When you acquire that job, it comes at like that level. You have to get to that level to unlock it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, for example, if you are playing, if you're going for Sage, for example, that started at level 70 because that came out at Endwalker,
which raised the level cap from 80 to 90. So
yes,
it gives you 10 levels to figure out what you're actually doing with the new class before it lets you tackle the new content at the same time.
I see.
Yeah, Sage and Reaper are very fun jobs, really great additions. Reaper is incredibly complex when it comes to optimization, but funnily enough, when you actually play it, it's actually relatively simple to play. But if you want to be like top percent, then there's a whole bunch of other stuff you gotta do. So it's very easily to approach and I guess difficult to master. But yeah, no, Vipers can come in at level 80, and getting 10 levels at that rate, like that's just doing your dailies a couple times. Not really that bad.
Doesn't sound too bad.
You can grind that out. Run some on content dungeons and some leveling roulettes, which usually net you about a level or two. But yeah, you've been enjoying 14, Casey?
Yeah. The story finally got interesting.
Yep. It takes a while. It takes a while.
At approximately level 40, when I am, hang on, let me check. 143 hours deep.
You did craft.
I did craft. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. The story finally started getting somewhere. Like, it is genuinely kind of insane how that story pacing goes for A Realm Reborn. It's basically like, hey, I started in the forest nation, so I'm like, yeah, there's some wacky shit going on in the forest. The animal race tribes are being assholes. There is this spooky guy in a mask, and that's basically it. And then, hey, here is this techno empire. We are going to show you a cutscene of the leaders of this techno empire that has basically never been mentioned in the stuff you've played so far. So they're here and they're dicks. They're going to proceed to not be in the story for the next 30 levels.
The pacing was worse. It was worse, and it blows my mind that it was worse. This is the fixed version. The Garleans.
In fairness, though, when they come back swinging. So, you know, I'm not going to say it's worth it, but it's pretty good.
I love Garlemald and the Garleans as a threat. They're an entire people that cannot use magic, so they decided to go for the tech route instead.
All right.
And went hard on it.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna spoil let's be honest at this point, a fairly early plot point in relative standards. When Mr. Giant Muscle Man decided to show up at a fight with gods and have his giant robot war machine bite the head of a god right off its neck.
Gaius von Belsar.
I would like, okay, I was vibing with the cutscene, like, okay, we're getting the stakes raised, we're getting the actual villain of the piece. All right, let's do this. He's, the machine's absorbing a couple gods, that's cool. And he's gonna, do the same to the god that I just fought and beat, so it's super weak. So yeah, that makes sense. And okay, that's that. The head came. You bit. Why did you didn't have to bite the others? Why? What the fuck?
I hate this one especially.
Like, okay. Yeah, so that was a thing.
Yeah, Garlemald and the Garleans get although they show up really late, they are kind of the major antagonistic force of A Realm Reborn.
And a
and
couple more expansions afterwards.
and they take on a very prominent role in Stormblood, and like it's a constant conflict throughout the expansions. It just goes from being in the forefront to being in the background to being in the forefront to being in the background. And it wasn't until Endwalker that we actually got to go to Garlemald, which that is a region that you can go to now.
Cool. I was wondering about that. Honestly, I was wondering if we ever get to go to Alamigo.
Yes.
Cool. Because that is the first part of Garlemald that is actually mentioned in the story. And it keeps getting brought up over and over again of how it was conquered and stuff. And how it's fucking raw there.
The part of the major plot point of and this was in the trailers and everything, but the major plot point of Stormblood is the liberation of Alamigo.
Okay, that was not in the big cinematic trailer that I watched. I haven't watched all the little ones because that seems like way too dedicated to spoiling myself, frankly, to watch all of those.
Yeah, but it was advertised originally when Stormblood was coming out as the Alamigo expansion, with also some other things thrown in that Stormblood has kind of a mixed reception to it. I personally love it a lot, but it is a bit divided in what it wants to be.
Yeah. It is the Alamigo expansion. Also, there's an underwater Korean city, and also Japan.
Also, Japan is there.
Also,
we have the Japan nation.
Tibet seems to be there also.
Essentially, you're jumping between a war, two different fronts, as it were. So that gets a little bit confusing for some people.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. That's like a lot of the stuff that a lot of setup for things to come is in A Realm Reborn and Stormblood. Like those are two biggest like setup ones in terms of like everything to do with Garlemald and so on and so forth. Shadowbringers is weird. It is it's an isekai.
Yeah, it is the Odd Duck expansion of like, okay, and now for something completely different, basically. Like
it is, yeah, it's an isekai. That's all I'm gonna say on that. It is like the most disconnected from like the events happening in your home nation, but it's also the most connected to the larger plot beats overall. So
yeah, it's sort of like, as I say, I watch the cinematic trailers and fucking Shadowbringers when you've got Y'shtola just saying until our friend returns, and the more I learn about Shadowbringers, the more I'm realizing, wait, that means the protagonist literally isn't in the rest of the story. For this, like everything else that's happening, they're not a part of it. This is something else they're just doing on their own, kind of thing. Like what?
I can't say anything because I don't want to.
Naturally.
Like, so I'm biting my tongue on that. There is plenty of interaction with characters that you do know, but the Nier raids, like the Nier Automata collab and all the Nier raids happen in Shadowbringers in the like you're in a different world thing.
Oh wow.
And
okay, so it's super removed from everything else then. Cool.
It's extremely removed. It's the most removed, in fact. Which is why it works. But an interesting thing to note, you mentioned the beast tribes in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
When you go and do the tribe quests, they all start at like the lowest friendliness rating to you. all of them are like barely tolerating your presence.
I literally killed all of their gods. I can kind of get it.
This is when you go into like different areas that are not like your nation of Eorzea, when it's not this place, and you go to another nation, all the tribes, they're like, "Hey, what's up, friend?" And it's like, you started already. They kind of like you. they don't hate you. They're kind of neutral towards you. And in fact, they may even kind of like you. But back home, it's like, oh, they all hate you. We have really bad race relations.
Yeah, hi, you want to do us some favors? Yeah, you killed my brother. So we'll see how that goes for you.
Yeah, the new thing that they're adding with the newest patch is the Alliance Tribe quest. So what that is when you do all of the tribe quests, which tribe quests are really good ways to level up your combat classes and your crafter classes. But when you do all of them and get them all maxed out of like a particular expansion, you will get an Alliance Tribe quest in which all of the storylines from the various tribes converge, and then you usually get a pretty fancy reward. For example, if you do it all in A Realm Reborn, you get this sick cybernetic eye patch thing that makes it look like you're a Terminator. It's super cool.
God damn it.
The only expansion that doesn't have that is Shadowbringers. It's weird. I don't know why.
Just a heads up, I do have to go in like 5 minutes.
Sorry.
Fuck.
We started talking about wood.
Yeah, an hour has gone by. Which I don't mind. I'm happy to hear you guys talk about something excitedly. And my week is short, so I can absolutely do it in 5 minutes. But
I'm sorry,
yeah,
man.
you're
All right.
completely fine.
The floor is yours.
I mean, the only thing fun that happened, I've just been playing a lot more Hunt in my free time. That's about it. Work is slow. We don't have any power supplies for our machines, so I basically don't have a job. I just sit there and do very little for 10 hours a day. It sucks. And I tried Hot Pot for the first time. I went out to eat for a friend's birthday, and that was a lot of fun. That's the kind of place where they have like boiling broth in the middle of the table, and you just put ingredients in them in the middle, and it cooks. So it's very good. If you have a place nearby, I'd fully recommend it. It's definitely something you do once every few months, though. Like it was very filling and a little pricey. So
There's a
had a lot of fun with it.
There's a hot pot place near me.
Hell yeah!
I just learned that. Apparently, I can order online.
Huh.
Weird.
How would you even do that? Is it a reservation, or do you literally just order?
It's DoorDash apparently.
Huh. I don't think that would be very good.
I mean, basically, you're just ordering a fucking casserole, kind of.
Pretty much. But yeah, that's me. You guys can get back to Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it honestly, it's a little frustrating at hearing how much content there is in that stupid game.
I haven't done most. Like, there's a lot of content I have not done, and I'm fine with that. I've made peace with the fact that I'm not going to do all the content in this game. I'm not supposed to, right? They're not intending for you to 100% this game by any margin.
At least not right. Maybe if you like play it for a couple of years, like
there's
if it's literally your full-time job where you play it on stream for 10 hours a day and do that for like 8 years and then you fucking that whole thing still pisses me off.
There's I've been playing for a few years. There's still tribe quests. I still have not finished all the A Realm Reborn tribe quests. I finished the ones in other expansions, but not all of them, right? And I've still have a ton of side quests that I could go do. Like, there's always something that I could do when I turn that game on. It's just whether or not I feel like doing it.
That's fair.
you have so many different jobs you can level, and then those have their own storylines.
A thought occurs.
Yeah.
The tribe quests, they they're basically quest lines where you try and make them be friendly to everyone else, right?
Not necessarily.
Or not be dicks, at least.
Um, in A Realm Reborn, it's about building a relationship with that tribe more so than making them not be dicks to everyone. Because usually the tribe that you're approaching is like a split off of the enemy tribe that will attack you on sight.
Okay, that was basically where my question was going. Was like, hey, if we're trying to make these friendly, I still have a hunting log to complete, and you guys
Yeah.
are kind of in it.
Yeah, no, the way it goes is, for example, like the Amalja, you have one faction that is like deeply worshipping Ifrit and will attack everybody on sight, throw them into cages, and then like, you know, set them on fire because they're into that, right? And then you have the other tribe of like, we're just a warrior culture and we believe in honor and like we're cool with you, right? But this other tribe is really making things hard for us.
Okay.
So
that sounds like content I will end up doing.
yeah. So that's typically with the combat tribes. It's usually something along those lines. And then you have the crafter slash gatherer tribes, in which you can see the location of the tribe change over time as you reach milestones and add
Okay.
on new things. Like it's super cool. For example, the one of the tribes in Endwalker sees you transforming an entire area and actually serves as an epilogue for that area of the game. It's super cool. They're much more story important in Endwalker because they decided to go that route. But even so, they're still good. You get free stuff from doing them, free experience, free gold, free mounts, free minions, free housing stuff. Like, worth it. But yeah, no, it's not, oh, I'm going to make this evil tribe good. You know, I'm going to establish relationships with the faction of the tribe that doesn't want to murder all of us on sight.
Okay, I think that covers 14 for now. I am very close to level 50. I will be stopping there and upgrading all of my shit to level 50 at that point.
Yeah, you're near the end of A Realm Reborn. Cape Westwind is like one of the final 3 big things.
Does the leveling stop until you actually start Heavensward, or?
Nope.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I don't believe it does. I think if you were in like the free trial and like if the limit, for example, were A Realm Reborn, then it would stop, but it's not. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Done anything else?
I did something.
Cool.
I played through Fate Extra CCC. And yeah, it's an incredibly horny game.
I mean, it's Fate.
But the writing is really, really good and emotionally impactful. They made me care about Elizabeth Bathory, who I previously was very meh on.
Blood Countess?
Yeah.
Oh.
The Fate version. Yeah.
Huh. I didn't. I mean, I should have assumed, but I had no idea they had made a Fate version of her.
There
Yeah.
are several Fate versions of her.
There's
Oh,
There is
she
the
a
adult
saber-faced?
Carmilla version, and there is the child Elizabeth Bathory version.
Yeah, it's the young dragon Elizabeth Bathory version, and Yeah, no, she won me over. Um, and I played through it first time with Tamamo, which if you've never played Fate Extra or Fate Extra CCC, the way that game works is that each turn you pick 6 actions in advance, and it's basically rock paper scissors. Where you have to do attack, guard, or break. Attack beats break, break beats guard, guard beats attack, and you get some of those filled out, and you have to predict what the enemy is going to do. So you'll know like this enemy will do like guard on turn 3 and like maybe attack turn five, but like the others will be question mark, question mark, question mark. And as you fight more enemies, you can kind of fill that out. But enemies will have different patterns. So, and then you throw in skills and all there, and there's a lot of complexity to it. It's very fun. The issue is Tomo is a glass cannon. Tomo is associated with the game's maniac difficulty, meaning that she will die in like 2 or 3 hits.
Ouch.
If you make 2 or 3 incorrect predictions, game over. Start again.
Is there any strategy to this, or is it just straight up?
You can take away the enemy's turn by spamming a skill, but that takes MP.
Okay. Yeah.
And so ideally, you would go New Game Plus. I'm going to go Tomo. I already know the enemy's basic patterns, and I can probably guess these. And I have the mystic codes and stuff to support having a lot of spell casting, so I'm good. But yeah. But with Tom with playing on an emulator, I can save state. So on particularly annoying fights, I can be like, I don't have to restart and load and then walk all the way back here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's fair.
So it was very fun. The game has 2 routes. One that is more openly available on New Game Plus called the CCC route, which I'll be doing. But very, very fun game. The English patch was great. The writing is great. Tomo's hilarious. Like it kind of sucks. The characters in Fate Extra, their writing is in Fate Extra. It's not in it. It's left there. Fate Grand Order doesn't touch it. They instead make new versions to explore different aspects of the characters. So, play CCC. I hate that game hasn't been. I understand why, but it hasn't been brought over to the West.
Does it have a? Is it just translated? I assume it doesn't have voice actors in English. It's not dubbed.
It's all subbed. It's all. There's a lot of Japanese VA in it. CCC also you can pick Gilgamesh if you wish as your servant, because the way it starts.
How well does that go?
So the difficulties are next to it. It's like, okay, you want Saber, that's standard difficulty. You want Archer, which is Fate Stay Night Archer, that's technical. Tamamo, that's Maniac. Gilgamesh, meanwhile, the word next to him is cheat.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right.
Overly busted unit, blast through the game, essentially. He also has a lot of dead ends. If you say the wrong thing to him, he will just kill you.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
So I'm looking forward to doing a Gilgamesh run after I do my my Saber Nero and Tomo runs, but just he has like ridiculous requirements to get his bond up as it is.
You have my permission to kiss my ass, mongrel.
Like you have to like use skills like I think you have to use like 30 items, and then you have to spend like $300,000 total at one point to reach the next bond. Yeah, he's great. I look forward to that. Apparently, it changes a lot of the scenes as well because you're walking in with freaking Gilgamesh of all people. So the entire reason you get Gilgamesh is like, well, the moon cell bugged, and the servant that we sealed away because he was too broken ended up in your hands. Whoops.
Oops. He's kind of an asshole. It might kill you. But here you
Yeah.
go.
I know Fate Extra is getting a remake, but we have no date on that.
I actually did not know that. Is that a
Yeah.
game or a series?
It's a game.
It's a game. Hey, remember Padaru?
Oh my gosh. It okay. Everybody who's played Fate Extra kind of resents the treatment of Nero after Fate Extra, where she became the Padaru girl, the Umu always happy, because it's not really her character in Extra. She kind of got Flanderized.
Yeah. I mean,
mean,
it wouldn't be a series if it was Flanderized.
It's not really that she's always happy. It's more that she's always trying to make other people happy. Is what I read her character as.
Yeah, that's accurate, though not wholly in line with the Extra writing. But like that's the interpretation they ended up going with her, and have been sticking with for several years. Yeah, CCC is like I can say for certainty that is a sequel to Extra. Do not play that game if you have not played Extra.
Ah, okay.
Because although your character starts in CCC with like amnesia, they remember, and that could potentially spoil. In fact, it will spoil a lot of the events of Extra.
That makes sense.
So it's like not 100% spoiling Extra, but most of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it will feel more impactful when you see returning characters who do remember your character, if you actually know what the history is.
Yeah, especially if there's stuff like that where it's like you only understand this because you played the previous game. There's no in-game context for this.
Mm-hmm. So, like, play Fate Extra, then play CCC.
Fuck it, play every Fate game. Do it.
Specifically,
Gonna go with no on that one.
like Samurai Remnant was so good. I loved it so much. I immediately jumped on CCC. Like, and Extra, CCC, Fate, Samurai Remnant. Those three are like really just good games on their own. I'm not saying though that like you should go towards Extella and Extella Link unless you like Muso games.
Yeah, no.
They're fun time killers, but I don't think I'd spend a dedicated amount of time just on them.
I'm not even sure I would call them fun time killers. They are time killers. I will grant you that much.
That's fair. I've just played a few good ones, so
I enjoyed the story of Extella, but Extella Link kind of lost me. Yeah, no. Play Fate Extra. It's getting a remake. It looks good. I'm so happy. I've just been hyper fixated on Fate stuff.
it's an easy series to fall into, honestly.
I'm like, wow, I remember these games that are not just FGO. These are really fun. I'm enjoying myself.
Charge me money? Oh my god!
Zero.
I just have to pay once and own it.
Zero. Bruh. I love you, buddy, but you just got me to spend 100 hours in an MMO. So shut
Yeah.
the fuck up with your recommendations.
I'm just saying for anybody out there who's listening, if you haven't played Fate Extra and you either want to get into Fate or like you like Fate stuff, it's actually a pretty good place to enter. You know, you don't need any pre-existing knowledge to enjoy it.
Hmm.
Because it's an entire separate timeline in which there's no magic in the world, so we decided to hack the moon.
Heck, the planet.
Because there's an alien supercomputer in the moon called the Moon Cell, and we're in the Cyberverse. It's the Cyber Holy Grail War.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I mean, I'm looking forward to going to the moon in Final Fantasy, so I can't really talk, I guess.
I love the moon in Final Fantasy. Like, I will say, without spoiling anything, there is a lot of fun stuff on the moon.
God damn it.
Yeah, keep playing, Casey. Keep doing it. Keep pumping hours in.
Casey saw the freaking fan fest. It's like, what? Space exploration? What? Colonizing other planets?
In fairness, I wasn't alone in that. I watched several reactions of people go, what the fuck is this game? Like, from long-time players. Like, it's...
I mean, it's within the realm of what's possible per the things that happen in Endwalker. But, like, we're going places.
Yeah.
They're, like... The thing that's really interesting, for you're aware of like the Realm Reborn trailer and like the Dalamud, right?
Yeah, I know all that stuff. I actually know how that plays out and stuff, yes.
Right. Yeah. So you have Dalamud, the Red Moon, which turns out is sealing away Bahamut, who escapes and then causes a calamity and has to go bye-bye night-night, because otherwise the world will be destroyed.
Yeah.
And we end up with Realm Reborn. And so people then look at the other moon and they're like, what's your deal?
I mean, in fairness, that is a valid takeaway.
And the other moon has a deal.
That is a really valid reasoning. Like, okay, that one caused some problems. I'm watching you.
What about the moon that's far bigger? Yeah. There's stuff on the moon. It's not just a blank white everywhere, you know? They It's one of my favorite areas in the game. My actual favorite area, I can't even say the name of. It is too spoilery. So, in fact, I'm very careful. I'm in like a 14 server with my friends, and not everybody there is caught up with current content. If I take a picture in one of those endgame areas, my favorite areas, I'm like, I gotta go post that in the separate channel that is specifically marked for spoilers for this expansion, rather than the just general like screenshot channel.
I'm glad it's set up like that. That's nice.
Because, oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah, the moon, space. I love space.
So when are we renaming this podcast to, I don't know, Final Fandomy?
That's a pretty good podcast title.
You'd probably have to go a lot more in depth with it if you wanted to do that.
I remember I go off on like 14 stuff, and Casey, you'd just be rolling your eyes.
I'd check out. Yes, I would.
And now we can have the back and forth.
Yay.
Yay.
I'm sure everyone appreciates it so much.
Isn't this so much better?
Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I was going to say it's definitely a step up from me having nothing to talk about, but is it?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think the stuff that we're talking about has been at least somewhat engaging for Slicer, right?
It's fun to hear. Nice to hear you guys be excited about things. I have no context for almost any of it, but
Did you hear that Maple Story's gotcha was set to be 0%?
I don't
What?
even know what that means. I didn't know
Well,
Maple Story had a gotcha.
Maple Story, another MMO, recently got in trouble. Nexon, the developers got in trouble with the Korean government because they were manipulating gotcha rates and making some items just straight up have a 0% chance of appearing, despite being advertised otherwise.
You don't get to do... Like, Korea and China are the two places where you do not get to do that.
I'm glad it's some places stamping down on it. I
And
wish
it's
it
been
was here, but
it's been getting away with this for over 10 years.
Yeah, China
Oh.
is, to my knowledge, the place where the law where you have to disclose the odds of a drop come from. That is where that started.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. They disclosed the odds, but they lied about the odds.
Yeah. That's a badness.
So they disclosed fake odds. These odds would change depending on things like what your character is currently wearing, who's on their friend list, what the people on their friend list have done in the game so far. That would like manipulate the gotcha.
that's insane.
As usual, I do my Googling after I very confidently make a statement. I am entirely wrong. It was not China. It was South Korea. So,
Fair enough.
bringing up China was completely pointless and misinformation. I apologize.
Well, good to have the clarification. I also thought it was China.
So they got fined $8.9 million,
Christ.
which is the highest fine ever levied by the KFTC for violating their Act on Consumer Protection.
Sounds
Yes,
like a
throw
lot.
the book at
Then you remember how much gotcha makes.
Yeah. They made so much money, though, because they've been keeping this up for over 10 years.
That's a fee. That's what that is. That's a fee.
Mm-hmm.
That's paying your taxes. That's what that is. Which,
Yeah.
Businesses don't like to do, but
Yeah,
You caught us. All right, I guess we'll pay this time.
I just recently heard about this news, but it like, whew, oh, awful. Just 0% chance. Take your money, please.
yeah, that is literally theft, isn't it?
Yes. There should be some big lawsuits going out about this.
Yeah, there should be.
I mean, I don't know how Korean law works, so maybe that is not a thing they can do. I don't actually know.
I don't know. But I'm glad that there isn't a gotcha element that's been put into 14. They just have the cash shop for buying clothes and mounts,
And
I have
Fantasias.
yeah. I have used their cash shop for buying things before.
Do you want to suddenly go from being a gigantic beastly man to a little potato lady? You can do that.
Yeah. I bought my favorite jacket in the entire game off their store, the Magitech coat, which is super good. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It was like $18, but I think I got it on sale, so it was I think a little bit less than that.
I mean, the Diablo 4 outfits are $25 each. So you came out ahead on that one.
Yeah, they added a new cash shop thing called the Woodland Warden's attire, and people were very upset about that because they wanted to just earn it in game, which
Yeah, fair.
yeah.
Yeah, that was usually the implication for the cash shop stuff. Was it was mostly just stuff that was limited time, so you couldn't get any more elsewise.
Mm.
Yeah. I'll post an image for you guys to see. The Woodland Wardens. Oh, posting in the wrong channel. Over here.
Like I think the Final Fantasy 15 car, you know, they did a crossover event and they did a rerun. You can't get it anymore, so
Yeah,
that goes in the cash shop.
It's not in the cash shop yet. I wish
Is
it
it
was.
not? Oh,
Nope, it is not.
I could have sworn it was at one point, probably before the rerun, I imagine.
But you know, I have friends who look at the data before the things get officially released sometimes, and we're aware of this set and was like, oh man, I wonder if that's going to be tied to the new content coming up. It's like, nope, cash up, and that's the set right there.
I mean, not gonna. And I'm sure there's people that very much do want it, but it looks like some tree hugger shit to me. So.
Yeah, it's definitely elf.
Yeah,
I mean, not. There's a couple different types of elves in this game.
Yep.
There's the tree elves, and then there are the fucking Catholic Church elves.
The yeah, no. Heaven's Word is gonna be fun to hear your reactions to.
I mean, I spent like 5 minutes in Kurthus, and all of it was talking about the noble houses and what was it, the Grand Bishop or something like that is the leader. Yeah, and the Holy See, CSEE.
Yep. Then the Holy Order of Paladins there, and
Yeah.
get ready for some religion.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven's Word is you go to the nation of ice, snow, cold, gray, and also war. Lots of war. War against dragons.
Yeah.
Yay.
I don't know. I'm kind of about it. I'm looking forward to it, and the name Heavensward makes it a little more sense now beyond just being dragons and flying city and such.
It's also the expansion.
You know, religion and such.
It's also the expansion that added flying into the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I personally like Heaven's Word. I'm not crazy about it. I have friends who are like, it's their favorite thing, but not quite for me personally. But you know, what you can do.
Yeah.
I think you'll like it.
It's weird that all of the repair materials for the Flying City thing are still in the game. I thought that was over and done with a long time ago.
Yeah, but if you want to get that, the Skybuilder stuff has certain achievements and titles and items locked behind it. So rather than make that go away, they just make it permanently available so you can just earn that stuff.
Okay, cool.
Which is very much appreciated.
Yeah. I would like titles about being a super cool crafty person.
Yeah, let me actually I'm curious about something.
I don't think I've even set a title. Wasn't
Yeah,
a thing about it.
you'll get a lot of them as you just progress through them. But I'll look it up later and tell you about it. But there's some really cool. There's some really cool crafter gatherer titles like God of the Land,
Wow.
and then like God of the Hand, stuff like that. And then if you master all your combat classes to a certain degree, you get God of War as a title.
Ooh.
Getting all your magic casting classes to a certain level, you get God of Magic, stuff like that. My current title is King Bean
Of course, because the Fall Guys thing.
because the Fall Guys thing. I'm not changing it. I'm not changing it. There's only
Why
one
would you?
title I would change it to, which is Epic Hero.
All right, fair enough. What do you got to do for that?
You have to do the hardest content in the game, specifically 3 Criterion Savage dungeons. 3 different ones, specifically the only 3 that exist. And
Okay.
Criterion, and they're 4-man dungeons where if one person makes a mistake and dies, you have to start over from the
Oh.
beginning.
That sucks.
And it's really hard. It's literally, I think it's the hardest content in this game because there's so much personal responsibility.
Hmm.
You make one mistake and you have just wasted like several minutes.
God of the Hand, you say?
Yeah.
I doubt you're the only one that's made that joke.
I think I found my title. What was the level that I need?
I'll look it up, some of the titles for you, and I'll get back to you in a second.
Okay, cool.
Because I actually have a thing that I can use. It's called ff14collect.com, which shows me where I can get 2 titles.
Gonna kick your ass into the Milky Way.
All right, titles. Yeah, God of the Hand, which is you get from getting level 70 as all your crafters.
Okay. It's gonna take some doing.
Yep. There's some.
It's worth it to summon up the power of the God Hand. That's what that is. Yep.
And people who do the ultimate raids get tiles with the word legend in it, like the ultimate legend, the perfect legend.
Yeah, and my understanding is those become out of date and just kind of worthless as time goes on.
They're still worth it because the ultimates are still like worth it. They're still difficult. The issue is that for some of them, people will pay people to carry them through it and to hand their account over to them. So you have a lot of false legends running around because they can just do that.
Yeah, it's lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So like the title stuff is like the real, like, I want to get my perfect title end game.
Every game has to have one.
Yeah. But Epic Hero and Force of Nature were like the two of the newest ones. I like Sleepless Scholar. Me during my master's program.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't even remember what song was stuck in my head before we started recording this. I mentioned it. I don't remember what it was because now all I can think about is the fucking God Hand song.
You're gonna go for God of the Hand? Let's go.
Okay. So, I don't know. Do we have anything else to talk about? I don't think we do.
Did you guys do anything else that wasn't Final Fantasy related?
Uh,
I wrote a commission chapter. I'm back to work, by the way. So, that happened.
yeah, I took on a job, but I've been, well, I mean, I did some substitute teaching, but really it's, I mean, the only thing is currently my sister, her boyfriend, and her baby all have COVID.
Ooh.
So they originally had come over to my house to isolate from the boyfriend, and then sister got COVID, and then baby got COVID, and now they're in the ER.
Yeah, fair.
Getting that taken care of. So hopefully that all turns all right, and I don't end up with COVID too.
Well, that's a little bit of a foregone conclusion at this point, but
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, I just was looking at. I'm still looking at 14 titles, and I was like, "Oh yeah, there's an achievement called Hey Now You're an All-Star."
Okay, then.
I mean, like I did the Garuda fight, and then the achievement popped once the quest was over, and it was free wing night, and I'm like, I was literally like, Koji, come on, dude, really, really. There are so many dumb jokes in this game. It is ridiculous.
They get away with sneaking in as many as they can.
Good.
It's amazing.
I haven't even gotten there yet, and I still remember that one of the fucking housing quests is a fucking equilibrium quote.
There's a title called Wolf of Easy Street.
This is the best worst localization. No, fuck it. This is the best localization. I can't even front. I love this shit so much.
The quest names and the achievement names, they sneak in as many jokes as they can get away with.
And many that they shouldn't get away with, but it's like, okay. Like, you have to wonder. Like, this is an English localization of the game. Are all of the Japanese quest names jokes? Or is this just a Koji thing?
I believe they fit in as many jokes as... Like, I believe a lot of them are puns, generally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, there is a playfulness that is intentional.
Okay.
You want to get the title Lord Creator?
What's that?
Do 500 leaf quests. No, tradecraft leaf quests.
I've done 2.
I was running around with Dungeon Master as a title for a while because D&D.
That's pretty cool.
They actually have the title 0 as well, so I was running around with that as well.
Nice. All right, the person I was waiting for is hopped on, so I gotta take it off. All right,
yeah, we're just
bye. We've just been kind of vamping for the past like 20 minutes. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, we could have just finished this a while ago.
Because it's fun to chat, I guess.
Yeah, we're just having fun. Later.
Okay, that GIF is just looping in the fucking chat, and it's still mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Just like the quick step thing, it's fucking great. It's fucking dancing. I'm also going weirdly American, and I don't know why. I'm just sort of leaning into it.
God of the Hand. I mean, I have a feeling that you're gonna go full crafter. Anyways.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's, yeah. I'm glad you're having so much fun with 14.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's an unbelievable amount of content, and like now you know why when I was like talking about before of just like the people complaining, oh, there's not enough content, are the people who have been playing nonstop for like a decade.
Mm.
It's and like as a full-time job, you know?
Yeah. It's it's one of those things where you just do something for long enough that you have this complete disconnect with what everyone else's experience is. It's the fucking WoW Raider problem of like, hey, we want the raid content to be harder and more challenging. We want more like tippity tip top level raids and stuff, and this is said by the loudest players in the game that are raiders, and
Yeah.
no one else can do the content that they're like bored with. Like, they are beyond the level that 99% of the players will reach, and it's like, this is a you problem. No one else even cares. And it's just kind of the same thing in 14. Like, yeah, you did all the content. Congratulations. You spent 10,000 hours in the game. You got your money's worth. I think at that point, like, that is several years of entertainment that they have provided you.
Yeah. Honestly, for like what they're charging. Like say for example, I'll give you an example. I have some stats right here. So there is you get as you go through the trials, you get mounts for them, right?
Mm.
And so people like to run trials over and over again to get those mounts. And once you get all the mounts of an expansion from the trials, you get a special mount that is like super cool.
Oh yeah, like there's the fucking rainbow wolf dog things. I think that was Stormblood,
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
that the Stormblood, Shadowbringer has dragons, and if you get all the dragons, you get a gigantic mecha dragon that has its wings spread open like an X-wing. It looks super sick. Um, According to the site, I'm seeing only of the people who use the site, which is like 42,000 characters, it's like 10% of people have this mount, right? And that's last
And
expansion's mount from doing all the
and these are the
trials.
people that are very, very invested in the game in the first place, which doesn't include the literal millions of people that are not invested enough to be on this site.
Right, yes. So it's such a small sample size that like of people who are like, oh, there's not enough stuff. Well, there's plenty of stuff. Go run deep dungeon. Only 1.4% of players have cleared the deep dungeon 4 times of this thing. It's like, yeah.
Go do some weird roleplay shit. Like, there's one thing that someone has said that they do as just a pastime to me, and sounds weirdly kind of endearing. Is they just switch their class to samurai and just go around as a wandering ronin doing all the side quests, just like a guy that's just kind of there helping out. Why not?
Something I like to do when I have nothing to do is my first character, which I have since deleted, started in Ul'dah. So I'll go to Ul'dah as my current character and go into the quicksand bar and just sit down at the bar
Yeah.
in front of Momodi and just look at the different new players that run through, because there's always new players running through that area.
Oh yeah.
And just kind of like, wave or emote at them or just have those like little interactions
Yeah.
and just kind of chill. Like there's sort of like an appeal to just becoming part of the scenery,
I have said the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned it in the 14 chat of just like when there was some level 80 dude just farming the enemy that I needed to farm.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing I can do about that. He can literally move 20 times faster than I can. So I just literally just sat down on a rocky bluff and just sort of watched the sun go across the sky. It's just like I'm just here hanging out. There was no reason for me to like emote, sit down, or anything. It's just I wanted to be part of the scene.
Part of the thing that people do is, they'll like the big deal of like acquiring a house in the game is you can create your place to just exist in.
Hmm.
You can get your yard set up and have elevated platforms and have a place where you can sit and just kind of watch the sun rise or set.
Hmm.
You can have those moments. Now, give me my medium house. I need more space. Gosh darn it! It's
Yeah.
it's a it's a it's a gotcha roll right now because a lotto for the house.
Yeah.
I was like number 60, like 6 on the latest one, and then I check and see I lost the medium. And the winner was number 68.
Hmm. I joined a free company, so there is a house I can enter, and it is technically partially mine. But
Yeah,
you
yeah, you
know,
get your own room there.
well, you have to pay for it. It's 300,000, and I don't have that at the moment. But I could probably get that pretty easily. But
Yeah,
not that
four,
fussed.
4 or 500,000, and you can get your own apartment as well.
Oh, you can have both.
Yep, you can have a free company room, an apartment, and a house.
Oh, cool.
So I know some people who own all three and just spend like turn the apartment into like a studio for taking pictures
Hmm.
and like screenshots and stuff and different poses and everything with like they kind of make their own green screen as it is.
Hmm.
And then I have, people who will like then do like the house is like all character related to their character, and then like the room is another like area. Like one of my friends had, so their room was like an office for their character, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah, no, the housing stuff goes so deep. Like that's the actual money sink in the game.
Yeah.
I made the velvet room in my house from Persona 3.
Let me take a stab in the dark and say you got the most spare and operatic song to play as the soundtrack in that room.
I mean, I did my best.
Hmm.
I I threw in some near music because I liked it,
Ah, that's
and that
close
worked.
enough. Yeah.
But
I mean, if Emil's Despair is in that fucking soundtrack, then that is absolutely the one you should get.
crafters gatherers like having houses because you can put in people who can sell you basic materials that you can just buy for crafting and gathering.
Oh
Or
yeah, I
sorry,
found one of
crafting.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can put a teleport point to your house. It's super cheap to teleport. So
Yep. Also has that. Yep.
and you can put in housing items that like increase the effectiveness of crafting. I believe it's like specific items to help out.
I don't know. The free company house is just filled with different bits of food. Is what I've noticed. It's literally just on every possible surface there is a different food item.
My free company house, we have a whole stage,
Hmm.
and like a bunch of tables and stuff set up, and so people will often go to the stage to take pictures of different outfits and like say like, hey, any advice on like what I should do for this outfit, any pieces I should change, and people help them out with stuff like that.
Yeah. Like the downstairs is a fucking snack bar basically, and then
Yeah, we got
upstairs they have a dance floor. Like
yeah.
full on multicolored disco flooring and stuff.
That disco flooring's from the Endwalker Tribe Quest, one of
Hmm.
them.
Cool.
Yeah. I just recently got access to that. I'd say recently, it was a couple months ago. But that's super, super cool.
It's a bit cluttered, but It's very nice, and someone obviously put a lot of time into it.
Yeah, the is it it's I think is it a medium? It's probably a medium.
I
Uh
it's very cramped, so I would assume it's a small.
small okay. Does it have so it has just the normal floor and then a basement?
It has normal floor and then one upstairs floor.
Okay. 'Cause uh small has a normal floor and a downstairs basement. Medium has a normal floor, an upstairs floor, and a basement. And then larges are like that, but twice as big.
I did not see a basement, but there might have been.
Uh, some people will hide the basement with the furnishing items. So they have a completely isolated space for some people. Or you're working on something in the basement and you don't want people to see the in progress stuff, so you just block it off. Like it's incomplete to be finished later, that sort of thing.
Yeah, what else? I
What was that?
I want a house. I want that.
Yeah.
I want to be super greedy and have a gigantic empty house. It's fucking
A large is about 50 mil.
yeah.
I'm bidding on a medium right now. Medium is probably your preferable one because the item limit, you have a limit of how many furnishing items you can place in your house at one time. The item limit is relatively small for how big the large is, so it's very restrictive in that regard. But you can get a medium just by doing content. Like for example, there's they talked about it briefly, but they're going to be adding more in 7.0 of these big open areas. Kind of the more medium / casual stuff, like Bosja and Eureka. Bosja is an entire side mode in 14 that you will unlock later on, and like very late on. And by running that content and getting to like the end of that content, there's items that can drop from doing Bosja that are worth like a couple mil, you know? I got my riches because I got the rare mount from doing one of the duties in there, which is essentially a gigantic 48 48 man raid unique to that area, and everybody goes in and it's super chaotic and fun. You get that done and there's a chance that you'll get like this rare raptor mount and you can sell it for 20 million. So I sold it because 20 million is worth way more than a raptor mount that I have no attachment to
That's true.
and looks kind of dumb.
I mean, the collector in me wants to strangle you, but that's very true.
I was low on funds, and this allowed me to get, start bidding on mediums. Because mediums cost anywhere between 17 to 20 million. So a bigger house or a mount that I'm not going to use because I like other mounts better. You know, I go for the bigger house. I have friends though who like it. That mount I learned later is the mount in Final Fantasy 11, and big fans of Final Fantasy 11 love that mount and wanted to kill me when they found out I sold it. But
Yeah.
hey, I want the money.
I mean, it's Final Fantasy 11 though. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was fun at the time.
There are people who are still playing it on like private servers and stuff.
Yeah, there is still one server running, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I think I looked up player numbers and it's something like 10.
But like the big ways to make money are through crafting and gathering, or just running like obscure content that people don't run anymore and selling the stuff from that because they still need the stuff.
Yeah,
Like
and just can't be bothered to go get it.
Yep. The new Criterion dungeons have mounts that can drop. You can also sell those mounts on the market board. So just getting one of those mounts from doing a Criterion dungeon can net you another 20 million. Easy. So
how's this squad shit work?
the squadrons?
Yeah, I have been told by you that it's basically you can have them run the dungeon with you.
Yeah. So squadrons work pretty interestingly. So you'll be essentially forming a team of NPCs and training them. And as you train them, they have it's a pretty in-depth system. They have their individual like stats, as it were, and you want to for sending them out to do like missions on their own and level themselves up as a party, and like that takes time. Once you take squadrons too far enough, you unlock command missions, in which you can then go to your NPCs that you've trained up and run through dungeons with them, and they'll get these things called masteries, and gradually become stronger and stronger and stronger in those specific categories. And essentially, I use squadrons to level up any combat job, any DPS that's like below level 50. And even then, the level 50 and up sometimes can be good. Because like when it comes to leveling up combat classes, you really only have a couple of efficient options. Because DPSs have the longest queue time. Like it takes forever to get into a dungeon with a DPS sometimes.
Yeah.
So either you go with your squadron, or you go to the Palace of the Dead, which is a deep dungeon.
Yeah.
And you run through the dungeon, do like 10 floors, and then Dunzo, get a huge chunk of experience, run the 10 floors again. Then the same 10 floors again. And again, then again, then again. And that's really boring. So I don't like doing that. But doing on-content dungeons with a team of NPCs, pretty reliable.
Yeah.
For the record, healer and tank are the fastest to level up because you can do on-content dungeons with players, and players are very efficient at not wasting time. Nobody wants to waste time when they're running dungeons.
Yeah. My first experience with other players doing a dungeon was everyone being very patient and going through like encounter by encounter and not rushing forward or anything like that. Every other experience I've had with it has now been no, we are going to collect like 4 or 5 different encounters and everyone's just going to AoE until they die.
Yes. That is the dungeon experience in 14.
Yeah. I hope you weren't hoping to, look for treasure chests or anything like that, because we're not fucking stopping to do that, motherfucker.
If you want a treasure chest, run off and grab it.
Yeah, I do not care about this level 40 loot. You can do whatever. I'm fucking moving.
That's the tank's job. The tank's job is to pull to the wall until they can't pull anymore. This also means that playing a tank can be incredibly hard sometimes if you are pulling to the wall. If you have a newbie healer as well, sometimes you'll want to pull smaller and be like, I don't want to wipe the party because I'm impatient, So like there's leeway for going slower, but you're playing with people who have done these dungeons hundreds or thousands of times. They just want to get their daily reward. So just follow along. AoE. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's painless, it's quick, it's fun. Uh, once you get into you get access to like trusts and other things, you'll have story NPCs that you can take with you through dungeons, and they'll have different dialogue depending on who you take.
What the hell are trusts?
Trusts are something introduced in Shadowbringers, where those Scions of the Seventh Dawn.
Yeah.
You can take them and other characters, allied NPCs, with you as your party.
That's cool. Some of those people are cool.
I by the by current content, I like all of them.
Okay.
Um,
Ida and Papalimo have some fucking work to do.
Ida and Papalimo, yeah. Their stuff is you'll see a lot of that in Stormblood. So
yeah, my impression of them is the Gridanian bullshit at the beginning, and then them completely and instantly fucking up all of the work I did when I was trying to talk to the sylphs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's, hey, do all of these things to be friendly to these people that have very different customs. Okay, you need to dance when you talk to them. That's the greeting. You need to give them this nice gift and be all super cool with them. Okay, cool. You did it all right? Awesome. They like you now. And then these two fuckwads show up and they're like, all right, so we got this deal done. Awesome, cool. Stand there with fucking arms folded, like staring people down. And it's like, no, I did all this work. And you just ruined it instantly.
I started my current character in Limsa, so that means I had Y'shtola as my Scion introduction and NPC.
I am jealous. Like, Gridania is the fucking worst one. I
yes,
will hear
yes.
no word against that. That is the worst one.
It is the worst one. I do not like Gridania at all. I know some people who feel very fondly for it, but I do not like Gridania. I don't like being there.
It sucks. The city layout sucks. Everything about it sucks.
The easiest, like the best layout is probably Limsa. Because you have the Aetheryte right there, and then you can just walk to the market board and like buy stuff, like not even that far away. Super easy. All of the necessary stuff is easily accessible.
You've got the fucking main Aetheryte, and that's like fine. It's not really that close to anything, except no, it's not really that close to anything. But you've got to teleport. It's right to the dead center of the alley, so you can go to wherever you need to go really quickly to go shopping. You've got another teleport that takes you right next to the fucking entrance to the Maelstrom headquarters. It's right there. It's cool. Mm-hmm. Which is also the place where you can go straight to fucking inn, get a room, get rest. It's all super convenient to get to. One minor problem is the fucking Rogues Guild. That's a little bit out of the way from every teleport, but that's like a thing you only worry about for like a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Although all of the teleports for the guilds are actually far enough away that they're annoying.
Ul'dah, I don't typically go to Ul'dah for many reasons, but I joined the Flames because one, I like the Flames, and two,
Raban is cool.
Yeah, Raban is cool. I like that, and I felt some fondness for Ul'dah because that's where I started my first character.
He carries the Sultana like a parrot. It's pretty awesome.
I like Nanamo and Raban.
I do too. Like I just did the fucking council thing, big damn hero moment. Yeah, we're not dead. Cool.
You can get a little.
Nanamo is super endearing in that cutscene.
You can get a little Nanamo minion, and she'll ride on your shoulder.
Oh.
Super cute. Have you been to there's a in Old Gridania, there's an achievement shop which you can buy the different minions and mounts from. You should check that out.
Okay, that's a thing I'll look into.
Yeah. But the Grand Company is right there next to the main 8th right in Old Oss, so it's super easy to just run to that and just do stuff. Saves me a lot of time.
There's one thing I wanted to ask about. The fucking Frienda robot that you get in the fucking the rescue mission. Is that a mount? Can that be a mount, please?
The Friendo robot, is that the Magitech big thing that you sit in?
Yeah, the one that Wedge rides for a bit.
Yes, that's a mount.
Okay. How do I... It is basically a metal chocobo, and I want it.
Complete a Realm Reborn, and you just get it.
Yes! Okay, it's fine.
If you get like 300 commendations from doing duties, you can get a golden one.
I don't think I've gotten one because I suck, but, you know...
Yeah, I
fine.
only recently got mine because I don't main tank or healer, so
Yeah.
nobody ever calms the DPS.
Oh, well.
And yeah, so you get that one for free. Easy. Like there's some really good stuff that you'll get from like once you do Realm Reborn, you'll also get access to the raids if you want to do that. I highly recommend you do the raids because the storyline of the raids is where Alphino's twin sister has been the entire time of Realm Reborn. And that's introducing you to her character and everything.
Okay.
The raids are such that people can just mostly just run through them fairly easily now, as opposed to when they were on content.
Yeah.
So if you want to just like run through it, you can just, you're in a free company. You can ask some people.
Yeah, probably. I don't know how many people are active, to be honest with you.
Yeah, fine. But yeah. Otherwise, you can still like try to just go up for it. Match with randos. You might find some people.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like the savage versions, because the savage versions are like the more difficult stuff.
Yeah,
but
I would die. 100%.
Yeah. You would die. Just trying to describe the complexity of the things you have to do in like a current content savage is mind difficult, brain hard. It's painful. This difficulty is really hard. But top tier raider says, but it needs to be harder. Stop, please.
Yeah.
I'm already having to have a diagram posted in chat through a macro using like text to show how to solve this one mechanic in this fight.
Yeah, and everyone has to know exactly when they need to do their buffs and debuffs so the boss won't instantly kill everyone in the party.
Yep. Savages are rough. Ultimates are harder.
Yeah.
Because they are extremely long. An ultimate can take like 30 minutes to do. Because it's like the ultimate that I've been working on is an extremely hard version of Garuda, Ifrit, and Titan back to back, and then that mech that Gaius was piloting afterwards. It's 4 really hard boss fights back to back to back to back to back to back.
That would be Uwu then.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is painful. But yeah, no, you can do the regular raids for content, and that's on a That's actually on one of the roulettes, the daily roulette. So you'll find people regardless.
Oh, cool.
Like the only thing that's not on there is savage stuff and like high difficulty content, which is why people use Party Finder instead. Yeah, no. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. There's lots. There's so much in the game. There's so much.
I'm gonna make a note for myself. Final Fandomy podcast episode 1/416.
We're still recording, huh?
Yeah, we are. I mean, we didn't do an outro. What did you think we were doing?
Well, you know, I was somewhat thinking there's no way we're just yeah, I know. Fair.
I'm gonna put a fucking warning on this. Be like, yeah, when Slicer leaves, that's the end of the episode. Don't fucking.
Yeah, if you go to the achievement store guy, you can go buy a behemoth mount if you have enough achievements.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
It's the giant monster known as the behemoth.
Very
It'll
descriptive.
carry you on its back. Yeah, I'll send you a picture. That's the podcast. We're just gonna keep talking about this.
Let's fucking call it there. That's an extra hour of us fucking not shutting the fuck up. Okay. Yeah. So, Discord link in the description. We do have a Final Fantasy channel. It is separated from literally everything else for good reason. Patreon link in the description also. If you want to, I could not possibly fathom why, but you could. Thanks for listening, I guess. I don't fucking know anymore.
Thanks for listening. Ta-ta.